So I'm going to read a couple things that I found pretty inspiring. And the first one is by Yehuda Skolshevsky, called Two Kings. Once upon a time, there were two brothers, like two sides of the same coin, both tzaddikim. Tzaddikim is righteous, but with such different natures and pathways in Avodas Hashem, which is worshiping the eternal Creator. The humble and downtrodden Reb Zusha eventually became a devoted follower of the Maggid of Mezrich, while his brother, the great Rab Elimelech of Lezhensk, remained skeptical about the new Hasidic movement. Reb Zusha returned after a period of discipleship with the Maggid, and his brother, Reb Elimelech, was disturbed by certain new behaviors that he observed. One time even catching him doing headstands, one after the other, while he thought that no one saw him. When confronted, Reb Zusha told his brother a story about a simple but prosperous man who, in his great yearning to serve the king, gave up everything in his village to take a lowly position in the castle. He would be the royal fire setter, and it would allow him closeness with his sovereign, which was his heart's desire. He did such a beautiful job that the king took notice of him and asked him if there was anything he wanted. The amazed servant stuttered that although he has everything he wants and needs, the only thing that he yearns for is to be able to see the king at any time. Overcome by his servant's devotion, the king said that he would have a little people put behind the chimney in his reception room. In this way, the servant would be rewarded for his devoted work. One day at a royal feast, the prince was a little too free with his words, and his father became angry. "Leave my presence and don't come back until I summon you." Devastated, the prince became an exile in his own palace. Days went by without an opportunity to see his own father, and he was heartbroken. One day, while wandering the halls, he saw a pair of feet sticking out from behind a chimney alcove. He approached our devoted servant and asked what the meaning of this behavior could be. The fire attendant said, "Your Highness, I have something that will soothe your heart. Look here." And after squeezing into the alcove half upside down, the prince was able to gaze upon the radiant face of his father, the king, through a tiny peephole. After a few minutes, the prince emerged, all sooty, and said with feeling, "Thank you so much. It's like balm to my wounded heart just seeing my father's face. Will you let me come back tomorrow?" The fire attendant looked regretful and said, "Dear prince, you don't understand. You're part of the royal family, and this isn't the way you should see your father. I'm just a lowly servant. This is my way, but it's not your way." And then Reb Zusha turned to his brother Melech, which is a nickname that means king. Reb Zusha said, "Melech, you need to have your own way of seeing the king. I went to my master, the Maggid, and he taught me that this is my path, upside down and in the dirt. Travel to Mizrich and he'll help you find yours, one that suits your princely self." Another thing I want to read is from, it's called A Way In, and it is, she is called Rabbi Yael, and she wrote this for Hanukkah. And she said, lights continue to shine after the holiday of Hanukkah. We can notice our anger and do our best to pause and explore the roots and origins of this response, and how we can best direct the energy of anger toward actions that will be of benefit and blessing. We have to seek the good, harmonious, wondrous, concealed within all. I'm going to read them. There's 8 verses from Psalm 119 that she connected with as a guide for this month, because it's a new month called Teves that started like 6 days ago, 8 days, 7 or 8 days ago. Today is the 8th of Teves, and so anyway, so I'm going to be reading this corresponding to the 8 days of Hanukkah. which did not end today, even though it's the 8th of Teves. They ended on Sunday, last Sunday night. Like Monday was the full last day. It didn't end on Sunday, it ended on Monday night. I direct my heart toward gratitude is Odcha b'yosher levav, Beis, b'chal libi dirashticha. With my whole heart I seek connection with you, great mystery. Gal enai v'abita niflaot. And these are Hebrew phrases from the Psalm 118 written by King David. And she's going with Aleph, Beis, Gimel. So that was Gimel. And a translation is open my eyes so I can see wonders. Derech emuna bacharti mishpatecha shivisi. I choose the path of faith and place practices before me. Hareini ya derech hat libi. Guide me, Infinite One, spread out my heart. Vivayuni chasadecha, may your generous abiding love come through me. Zmiras hayuli chukecha beves megurai. Let the music of the infinite design find me wherever I dwell. Chastecha ya mala haaretz chukecha lamdeni. Your infinite generosity fills the earth. Please teach me your ways. And then I wanted to finish with something I read from Sheshan. His name is Sean Hashmat Por, and he's a life coach, kind of. He turns social anxiety into self-confidence here. And he wrote a bunch of steps. I want to share a couple of them. And he says, how do you know if you have social anxiety? It limits your potential. So you can't create the content you enjoy. You can't talk to those you find attractive. And you can't speak up to defend your boundaries. People can push you down and walk on you, and there's a point where you're sick of it. It's enough. You realize that you're actually missing out on a lot, which is being ourselves in front of others and having adventures with someone and letting our hair down together with someone and feeling safe in a social environment. It can be frustrating and lonely, he said. So if we're going through any of that, he says, you got this. 1, you let go of perfectionism, and 2, you focus on what you like about your past. So I'm going to read a little bit about what he wrote. 1, let go of perfectionism. You can never do it right or do it wrong. Be nervous when you're doing it for the first 20 times. And you're going to piss people off. And you're going to make mistakes, and you're not going to be that funny sometimes. Or you're not going to know more than what you know at that time. And own it. Begin the process. It says begin the process. Okay. Number 2, focus on what you like about your past. You're anxious because your past experiences traumatized you, and you want to protect yourself from feeling hurt again, so you avoid it. Instead, what you got to do is create a positive momentum with your thoughts, looking at the times in your life when you're actually victorious and say, wow, look at where I came from and how amazing I am and what happened to me. And I'll share something very personal tonight. I'll share something that I shared with a friend who said he doesn't really know about my background. He shared something very personal about his brother and mother relationship, and I said it reminded me a lot of me and my dad. I'm finding it. And I said, I see it like how his mother forced his brother to be her friend. I feel my dad forced me to be his friend, and I never had a father. He was a bully. He was so unfair, so greedy, so needy, so disrespectful, so humiliating. And I don't know if this is going against the 10 Commandments because I'm just honoring him, but I think I'm honoring him by saying, even though he's human, he has so many great qualities. And it's not fair that he didn't get enough love, that he never experienced unconditional love. Like, it hurt me too, but I see it hurt him more. At least I went in a different direction, and I feel like I could have gone to end up in a mental institution or be more like him, how he is. And I feel like I am an amazing person because of my gifts and weaknesses that protected me, actually, because I went to all these therapy schools and camps and I didn't quite fit in. And it's why I stay in touch with my father. It's a great touchstone. And my father, who would call me things, I felt he was like that. And my mom often would tell me that there's a good Shana, a bad Shana. But as I told someone else today, there's a corona happening, and I guess it's like, I feel like in the circumcision there's a corona. It's like corona of the planet in some way, together, all of us. Some part is being snipped away. bless me.